Hi, welcome to Marky Mark's Woodshop. I'm Amber.
And I'm Mark, and this is the Woodshop.
And today we're going over the woodworking bench.
Well, the woodworking bench. This is a must-have. I've wanted one of these for decades. And I had the wood. This is 4x6 pieces of ash I had gotten decades ago with the intention of making a bench. And it sat in the shop for 20 years until I got here and finally was able to make a bench. So I used oak in between the ash just to give me a skosh more width, and oak on either end for the breadboards. And I had to park a car on this overnight while it was gluing up to keep it straight from bending and warping like glue-ups do. So once I got the top built, I didn't build the bottom right off the bat. I had another kind of a construction bench that I built. I just kind of set it on there. And I was looking for what kind of wood to use for the legs. Well, hardwood was kind of expensive, and the undercarriage would have cost a lot of money to make, so I just used some 4x6s from the local Home Depot to make the legs. And once the legs came about, I had a workbench. So I added vices. This one I had laying around the shop. I don't use that particular one too much. I've got a classic Wilton right angle vise, which is probably 40 years old or so. I didn't know what it was. The company's still in business. They're evidently a quality vise maker, been around forever, so I wrote to them and asked, what is this thing? And he said, it's a Wilton right angle vise. You got a gem there. So it's got the stop dog, which is nice because you can bring it out and use it as a clamp. With the holes I've got in for the dogs in the bench, I made dogs. And I also made it so I could put it in the vise too. And as you can see, I added some wood padding in there so it doesn't mar the surface on whatever I'm squeezing. So this is a right angle vise, which means you can put stuff in horizontally, or you can put it in vertically, which is unique to this vise. So some of the other vices I added on each corner. The particular one is I got the hardware only from Grizzly and made the rest of it. So it too has a dog, so I can use it as a clamp. And I think this has, like, oh my god, a 16-inch capacity. It's a very big vise, very versatile. I've actually used it to extend the length of the bench on some bigger projects that I've done. And the last vise, which was probably my last upgrade, this is called a leg vise. I made entirely out of scraps laying around the shop. And what you can do with this is you can lay a long board along the edge of the yeah, hand me a long board. So you can work the edge of it. And I still need to add something along here where I can put a dog in to support this other end. But I don't use this a whole lot, but when I do, it comes in handy. If I got a plane and edge, it's very handy. That's mainly what I've been using it for. And this has probably come out about a foot or so. And I even made the threaded mechanism
Out of a dowel.
So that was the last thing.
And you turn the knob on the lathe.
Yeah. Collar and the lathe. With that, not pretty but functional. That was just scraps also. The entire thing's just scraps. Pine, but I've got a piece of maple in here for hardness. The bottom is a piece of oak that I salvaged from a pallet.
From the Supermax, actually.
Yeah. Yep. And after that, we added wheels to the base, and it makes it easier to move this monstrosity around. It got very heavy, and that's just foot operated. And there's obviously one on each leg, so that can roll around. And eventually I added a shelf on the bottom. Shelf on the bottom here that provides storage for a lot of tools, my sanders, some other gizmos for the bench, and bench dogs, etc. One day we were out here, and Amber and I were shellacking something, I forget what, and we spilled a half a can of shellac on the table. And we looked at each other, and it's like, oh no, instant mess. How do we clean it up? Well, we both immediately started rubbing it all over the table, so we got a nice thick coat of shellac on the table, which happened by accident.
It was my trash can you made for me.
Ah, the trash can. So other than adding a rail on the other side to support boards for the leg vise, some of the other things I'd thought about was drawers underneath, which I'm not going to do, but you could easily do that in your bench. There's, oh God, a gajillion different configurations. Some of them will have a trough at one side for your tools that you're using, because you really need this whole surface to work with many times, and tools are just in the way. But if they're in a trough, they're handy and out of the way. So that's another common design thing that you could do. God, I just love to make workbenches for a living, because there's so many different kinds. This one's great, I love it, but again, they're different configurations, and they might lend themselves better to what you might be making.
Or the space you have.
Or the space you have. This one is about 5 feet long, and I think 2.5 feet wide, rough dimensions. And it serves me well. I've got a smaller table. It's not hardwood. It was just something whipped up quick.
It's my woodworking bench.
Yeah, we use that for staining and piling other junk on. It was twice as big at one point.
It was actually the first workbench he made for the shop, just to start getting everything made.
The shop was completely empty. I needed some work surface. So it was twice as big. It was 4 feet by 4 feet, and I've since cut it in half. I needed something that size for somewhere else around the property. I forget exactly what. Perhaps in the shed, I don't remember. But I've still got a 2x4 chunk left over that served us well for staining and other tasks. So it's handy to have more than one. But that about wraps up our workbench. It's always interesting to see other shops and get ideas from other people as to what they use, how they use it, etc. So we would just love to see pictures, or since you can't do a picture on YouTube, I think, leave a link to...
Do a video response.
Oh, there you go. A video response. How perfect is that?
Yeah, and just let us know that you did a video response on your woodworking bench.
And, yeah, your shop, how it's laid out, that kind of thing.
And post your link below, below on in the comments below on this video about with your VR response, and that way we can check it out.
Awesome. So, again, you know, this so far has been a work in progress. It's slowing down because I don't see that much more than I need to do to it. Storage. I could drill some holes in the side. I've got a magnetic strip which I had all of my little rollers hanging against, but I kept knocking into it and knocking them off. So that might move to the RV. Good idea, just in a bad spot.
Maybe on the side there on the end.
Well, maybe on a leg, but I don't know what I'd put there now. Because, you know, I've organized the shop much better. Anywho, back to the bench. You could park a tank on this puppy. And in fact, I've done jumping jacks on it. So anyway, don't forget to share. Sharing is caring.
And like.
And leave a comment.
We love to hear from you.
So thanks for watching.
And have an awesome day.